The following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
Last year I was sitting at a desk as a sales manager, and now I'm official McLaren F1 simulated test driver.
So it's 1.4 behind.
This opportunity is huge.
That's faster than the factory McLaren driver, and he's done 6 laps.
Let's go race.
It is week number 10 of the iRacing Le Mans series, and that means we head ourselves to the track that is known as Mythique. Bienvenue, welcome to Le Mans as a part of iRacing's bumper 24 hours of Le Mans weekend. Robinson here directing. Gonna hand it over to your commentary team in one moment of Connery Maddock and Paul Smith, but let's have a look at this track because it is going to be our center stage for the weekend. We're running for just 60 minutes here today, 38 corners around this racetrack, and well, right now it is 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and we've got ourselves moderately humid skies, clear skies out there though, and wind speeds of 7 miles an hour. So from Dunlop all the way down to the 40 Canes, let's turn it over to Connery and Paul. Connery, take it away.
Thank you very much there, Will. And, well, it's Le Mans. What other way can you just describe this circuit, describe these sorts of events? This is the prelude. This is the introduction to the 24 hours of Le Mans weekend. And, well, this will just set the stage, shall we say there, Paul, for what we'll see tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everybody. It's certainly going to be a challenge for these drivers. Of course, they are fuel limited, so they will have to make a pit stop in this race today. But it really is a good way of giving yourself a little bit of practice time around traffic. So some people will be using this race for that, whereas some will still be going for the big W.
Yes, they will. Many teams, many drivers out there using this as a sort of last-minute practice, shall we say, for the iRacing Le Mans, 24 hours of Le Mans that gets itself started tomorrow afternoon. But this one, qualifying, is just drawing itself to a close just for a moment. The rest are just some stragglers heading their way across the line, trying to set those last-minute lap times. But it looks like everything is going to be set for your starting grid. Let's get to it. In pole position for your LMP1 field, it's Juan E. Lopez with a 3:14.8. That is a very good couple of tenths faster than Carly Jansen, who lines up on the first row. We've got Matthew Prudhomme and Richard Arnaud comprising of the second row of the grid in that particular class. Got Thibaut Cazoubon, you've got Florian Kruger as well, P number 6 in LMP1. Patrick Barden, Rebecca Pauline bring things down to P number 8. Arthur the Hook, P number 9, and Mark Elkman will start himself in 10th position. Fabrice Cornelis perhaps down the positions a little bit here in P number 11 in qualifying. Same with Patrick Wolf as well. P number 12 only for a driver who's been an absolute star in this series so far. We'll have to chase things on the back foot there for Wolf with the other Patrick Moser, P number 13. Dennis Grabowski starts P number 14, and Kim Eriksson, P number 15. Then we look back to your 11-car LMP2 field. Patrick Schneider takes pole position with Joao Coroni, P number 2. Christian Hewitt, P number 3. Vila Ruler there, P number 4. P number 5 will go to Yuri Mujak. Carlo Labate will start himself P number 6. You got Lawrence Vitikunas there, the number 41 driver, P number 22 overall. Julian Rembrandt and Loic Guiardo will round out your LMP2 field. And looking all the way back then to your GTE class, Lauren Heinrich, driver of the number 9, will get himself pole position for Williams Esports. You've also got his teammate there further behind, Alessandro Voff, back in 4th place, but P number 2 will go to Niels Koch, then Kei Kashube as well. So Williams Esports doing very well. They got lock out the front 2 rows of your GTE field. Further back, you've got Sebastian Dunkel, Jürgen Frank, Mikkel Melkler, Yannick Lapchan, Antitero as well. Starting yourself mid-pack in that GTE field. Jack Cedric, Antiohola, Joe Guez. Got Bastian Remis, Jan Senkowski, Barry Morrison. So this is a very stacked GTE field. And in just a couple of moments, Paul, that pace car will pull off and away.
Yep, certainly setting off now. We'll be looking out for the flyby of the tricolor as we're getting set for this 1-hour race here in the iRacing Le Mans series. But yeah, what a stacked grid it is for us today. We're privileged to see so many of iRacing's top competitors here in multi-class events, and we're certainly going to get some great action here. You're going to see plenty of more closer racing, I would say, in the GTE field until those LMP1 cars come through. And don't count out the LMP2 field. They've got a good field, and they can really run in a pack.
Yes, they can. Only a partial pace lap to get things started here at the Circuit de la Sarthe. They're just heading their way through the start of the Porsche curves right now. And the fields will get themselves spread out, gives themselves some breathing room coming to this race start.
Yeah, I was going to say just quickly, one thing that these drivers will be doing is they'll be using as little fuel as possible to take them before the start, because they want to take as little fuel as possible in those pit stops.
Yep, exactly. Only one scheduled stop for all 3 classes this evening, same as it has been for pretty much the entire season here in the Le Mans series. Juan E. Lopez now waiting patiently behind the pace car. That pace car will drop down on towards pit lane in just a couple of moments' time, and then we can get some green flag racing here at Le Mans. Pace car motions itself towards the pit entry field under the control of Juan E. Lopez. Now through the tight Ford chicanes he'll go at a fairly leisurely pace as he starts to pick up the speed through the final chicane. He'll gun it out of here. Green flag is out. The jets will fly over. We're going to go racing here at Le Mans. Comfortable comfortable start for your LMP1 field. They get themselves strung out single file very quickly indeed. Looking back to your LMP2s though, still Patrick Schneider leading the way out with the Ford chicane, gets himself across the line to start the race for this class as well. As there's battling further back, that's between Lorenas Verticunas and Loic Guillardot, as Guillardot will get himself past. As the 38 car has had himself a couple of issues. We'll get a look at that soon as the GTE start gets itself underway, and it's a train of Williams Esports.
Certainly is a train of Williams Esports. We see the 38 then just having those issues, trying to keep out of everybody's way with that GT field. It's mixed in with that GT field, but Lauren Heinrich doing a good job. Also, Vice Canunas as well having issues, obviously getting caught out by the track conditions here in the early going of this race.
Yeah, exactly. So as you see the GTE field just cycle itself down through the first sector, coming up towards Tetra Rouge as well, and then they'll get themselves onto the Mulsanne straight for the first time. Speaking of the Mulsanne, here come your LMP1 cars. That's Kim Eriksson there in P number 14 there, trying to catch up to Patrick Moses. This is right at the back of your LMP1 field as they get themselves into the second Mulsanne chicane, the Michelin chicane now coming down into. As in further back, we've got even more battling as well as the cars trying to sort themselves out into position.
Yeah, everybody just trying to find their pace, get into the rhythm of things as we go along, because this is really a tricky one to get right, but these long straights do let yourselves just sort each other out. Christian Hewitt has had a little issue at that second chicane. Around he goes. He's back up and running though. So a little mistake for him, got a little too quick into that second chicane there on the Mulsanne.
Yeah, that was the driver of the number 34 having a couple of issues, and it's exactly as you said, battling with Guillardot there, the driver of the number 40, and just Hewitt just overcooks it a little bit coming down into that chicane again, puts him on the back foot now for the rest of this race, having lost the draft to the rest of the field, the rest of his class. It's going to be tough from here on out without the draft lock.
Yeah, the draft is so important here around this track, and getting to use as much of that draft as you could possibly get. Just one, helps you retain a little bit of fuel, look after your fuel consumption, but two, also keeps you in that battle, keeps you close together to try and make some moves. But you don't want to make any moves too early in this race. You want to just get into a routine. If you can hitch up with somebody who's around the same pace as you, then you're pretty good and set for the race.
At the moment, we're looking on board with the driver of number 2. This is Kei Kashubi. We get that speedo up as he heads his way down in towards our Naj for the first time. Decent line through there. And if you're Kei Kashubi right now, you don't have to be worried too much, because you've got a teammate ahead, you've got a teammate behind, you know how both of those teammates drive, so you must be in a very comfortable position here knowing that fact.
Yeah, teammates, you're all going to work together, but this is an individual race, don't forget. So, you still want to get that big win at the end of this one towards your iRacing and towards your safety rating as well. Really difficult to pick up those incident points around here at Le Mans, but certainly those teammates working together for the time being in your GTE field.
Inside the cockpit then of Thibaut Casaubon as he tries to track down Richard Arnaud, coming down towards the first Mulsanne chicane, the Forza chicane, brings himself up very close to the rear of the French driver, motions towards the inside, has to complete the move on the brakes potentially, but no, he's just going to drop back behind just for now, and we'll be seeing a lot of this, Paul. We'll be seeing a lot of passes coming down these very long Mulsanne straights.
Yeah, this is all going to be about the run out of Tête Rouge. Down that straight, broken up by those two chicanes, of course. A little bit too long is the Mulsanne for the modern racing. But these guys able to work together, use that slipstream, and you'll see that pulling alongside, getting the position. So you're going to see position switch coming out of Tête Rouge, and then you're going to see position switch back down the second part of the Mulsanne, and then heading down towards the Mulsanne corner itself. You can have another opportunity into that tight right-hander. It's all about the slipstream through basically the first half of the track, and certainly these guys, as we're seeing once again, slipstream coming into effect. Patrick Barden losing the position there to Florian Kruger, but then going to make the move back down the inside.
Yep, this is what we tend to see: just the pass and then the pass back on the succeeding straights. As after the hook, very close to the back of Barden, now tries to bring himself close up in towards Indianapolis, but not able to. Will have to drop back before the braking zone even begins for that one as they head their way towards Arnage for the second time in this event for your LMP1 field. And it's all been very, very calm. We haven't seen many frantic battles in this one, and I think we kind of should have really expected that, considering the standard of the field that we have here. It's getting close to it's 5,500 strength of field. Your LMP2s actually is the side-by-side Arnaud and Kazu Bond there up in towards the Porsche curves. Arnaud has overshot the corner a little bit, so the driver number 22 has to hang around the inside of the middle of the Porsche curves there, and Kazu Bond manages to get the pass back. But fantastic racing there, fantastic race draft from both of them, as we'll have a replay on the screen. And going back to what I was saying, Paul, I think this is the kind of racing that we should really expect, considering the 6,000 strength of field of the LMP1 class.
Yeah, the level of competition in that LMP1 class is ridiculous here tonight. So many World Championship drivers involved in this one, and great to see a mix of World Championship drivers and other people who aren't in the World Championships for the moment. They're all mixing it and doing a good job of that as well, so great to see this level of competition on Friday prime time here.
Yeah, and Paul, one of the more unique things about this track, at least on the iRacing service, is how easily you can get a slowdown penalty. Now, at most tracks, notable ones like Spa and all that, they usually punish you by giving you a 1x, a 1 instant point for going off track. The circuit that aside in iRacing, though, prefers to use the slowdown penalty strategy for running wide, even on the exit of the corners. You don't even have to cut the corner. If you're running wide on the exit, you're going to get a slowdown penalty as well.
Yeah, it's not a perfect system, because then you're entering the possibility of somebody getting caught out behind one of those cars suddenly serving a slowdown penalty, so you could maybe have a little instant because of that. But I personally think that's a much better way of policing track limits here on the service. Now, I'd love to see something like that introduced to Spa-Francorchamps to stop maybe using all the runoff that they have there. A little bit of battling going on in LMP2 as well, and that's between 4th, 5th and 6th place. They're all being pretty close together, and Maturana moving up a position up into 5th place.
Yeah, exactly. We do have a couple of decent movers in this event, as Maturana sets himself up for the move once again on Gila Dow through the first part of the Mulsanne Straight, sets himself up for that driver's right-hand side, which is the inside line coming down into the first chicane. So fairly comfortable business right here for Sergey at the moment, but Guillardel will actually pull back just a little bit. Some slightly different setup possibly used on Guillardau's LMP2 machine rather than Maturana, but Maturana will get the pass done. Careful not to track extend on the exit there, and he'll get himself off and away. But in terms of the biggest movers, Maturana is definitely the biggest mover, at least inside of that LMP2 class. He's up 6 positions. Yeah,
doing a great job there, and certainly working hard to move through the field. He's got a 9-second gap in front of him though, so he's going to be stuck in this position. He's going to be cutting the hole in the air in front of him, but we've still got battling going on in your LMP1 category, and certainly some great racing happening there. All over second and third, should I say, but also battling over 5th, 6th and 7th as well in your LMP1, and you've still got close action in the GTEs as well.
Yeah, it's action all over the place right now as Lauren Henreich and Kei Kashube will once again swap for the race lead in GTE, side by side down in towards Michelin, and Kei Kashube will not fight that one at all. He's just working with his teammates here to pull those 4 Williams Esports cars away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, certainly doing that. He's trying to do a good job of it as well, but they can't seem to drop Sebastian Dunkel at the moment, but the 4 of them at the front of that GTE field just working together. They'll all be concerned about what happens towards the the pit stops and then towards the end of the race as well. But you could tell that quite a few of these drivers using this as a bit of last-minute practice here to try and get a good feel for the cars that they're going to be running tomorrow and Sunday in the Le Mans 24 Hours.
Yeah, I'm definitely expecting big things from this Williams esports team tomorrow. Of course, these drivers, mostly ex-Huizenfeld Core Motorsports, ex-Team 33 as they were in their interim period between being Core and being Williams. But this team does have a bright future ahead of it with the talent that they have behind the wheel of those 4 GTEs especially.
Well, I mean, look at it, just 2 years ago they were fighting for the World Championship in the GT Series, so it shows what talent they have got, and a little bit of rebuilding and a new team, and before you know it they'll be fighting it out once again in World Championships, that's for sure. Just they've got the quality there, there's no doubt about that. You know, form is temporary, quality is life. You know, that's what they always say, and certainly that's what they're getting from that team here.
Yeah, exactly, and a 1, 2, 3, 4 finish would be absolutely fantastic going into the race tomorrow. But we still have a good amount of time left here, 48 minutes left on the clock to get things sorted out. Let's just have a little bit of a recap of your LMP1 field. Wani Lopez has just pulled away right at the front of that LMP1 field. He's got a gap of around about 2.4 seconds over Carly Jansen, and then it's not too far back at all to Matthew Prudhomme, as it was a couple of tenths of a second behind Jansen. And then further back, you've got Florian Kruger as well, P number 4, Kazu Bomb, P number 5. Arthur Le Hook has got himself into P number 6 over the last lap as well, so he's starting to move himself up the field. He has his teammate ahead of him as well, which can be helping in terms of punching a hole in that air and trying to get the slipstream. And then further back, you've got the likes of Barden and Arnaud in LMP1 as well, as this LMP1 field is starting to spread out now, which it tends to do as drivers use their ERS boost in different places.
Yep, certainly do. It all spreads out as we've had moves in your LMP2 as well. Christian Kewitt now coming through there ahead of who is that now? Loic Guilladot. He's going to be looking ahead now at Julien Rambeau, and he's got the slipstream going down the Mulsanne, and he's going to have the opportunity. Oh no, he's going to back off into that second chicane.
Yeah, he is, so not brave enough to do it down into there just yet, but still plenty more opportunities to try and take hold of if you do want to get past. It's just a case of securing that pass, because of the draft block here, especially in these LMP2s, just because you get the pass doesn't mean you're going to be off and away. That driver behind is just going to sit in your slipstream and then try and get the pass down somewhere else in heavy braking zone. So you do have to play these sorts of races strategically, especially with the fuel as well. And we'll be expecting that some drivers perhaps might be fuel saving behind other drivers in this one, just to take a shorter stop in the one and only stop that we'll get.
Yeah, there's that trade-off between how long you have your pit stop last and how long you sit behind the car in front, because if you feel that you are definitely faster than that car in front, really you do want to get past, but in the same front, if you're not really gaining that much time and you're able to sit behind them and work the draft, that'll work for you and you'll get the strategy work your way. Julien Rambeau, I think, has maybe just grazed the tyre barrier on the exit of Arnage. That's dropped him down a position down to 6th, and he's going to maybe come under pressure. Actually, no, he's going to be able to slot in between Kewitt and Guilladot.
Yeah, he didn't look entirely comfortable coming through the apex of Arnage. Had to push it a little bit wide, and he got so close to that tyre barrier on the outside there. I don't think he touched it. He did get a bit of the grass, though, and as a result, has lost the position to Christian Kewitt. But that is just a scary moment, a marginal moment for the driver of the number 39. But meanwhile, looking further up, especially in your LMP1 field, we've had a change for P number 2. Matthew Prudhomme has got himself into P number 2 in that field, drops Carl Jansen for Radicals Online down into P number 3. So Prudhomme now starting to make some inroads.
He certainly is, but look at the gap that the leader's got out now. Wani Lopez, 4.3 seconds ahead. He's certainly working hard to pull that gap and to try and get ahead of these guys, to give himself that time to have that pit stop. But definitely that battle for P2, it's not over yet. They're still going to be using the draft, and I think maybe there's an element of Kalianza just deciding, right, now's a good time to use a little bit of the draft and basically work that hard to get a little bit of fuel saving here. But I say that, he's gone past now.
Yeah, exactly. The classic Le Mans pass in one part of the circuit, get repassed on another one. So we'll see that quite often, especially once we get towards the end of the race as they try to chop and change for position. But looking further back in your LMP1 field, though, we've still got Patrick Wolf and Rebecca Pauline battling into Arnage. Oh no, they've made contact down into there, and Wolf goes for a spin into the grass. Rebecca will get herself off and away. A little bit of confusion in the braking zone there, just a little bit of a lazy incident.
Yeah, not the best for Patrick there at all. Rebecca able to carry on, but Patrick's dropped all the way down to 15th now. So not the ideal time to have an incident like that, and dropped a ton of positions there.
Looks like actually Pauline just outbroke herself slightly coming down in towards the braking zone. Just had to straight line the corner a little bit. You saw the right front tire on her car just lock up, and that just sends her in one direction, straight into the side of Patrick Wolf. So yeah, that is an unfortunate incident for both of them. Patrick Wolf is actually going to come out the worst on that because he had to go into the grass and had to wait for the rest of the traffic to make their way by. But Wolf was not really in terms of his position in this race. He's not where we expect him to be. Usually we see a driver like Patrick Wolf up within the top 3, top 5 at least, but fighting for positions just inside the top 10. That's not what we're used to seeing. And do you think that's just because of the unique nature of this circuit? Is it because of these LMP1 cars and the way that you do have to manage them from time to time?
It could be a combination of the circuit. It could also be not having maybe as much experience in these LMP1s as he would say like in a GT3 car. So definitely, it could be a combination of things. Maybe it just doesn't suit his driving style as well. Let's not forget that these the LMP1 cars, you have to have a really unique driving style for these cars, and also you've got to really use the aero and the ERS, the engine recovery. You've got to use that to your advantage, use that strategically as well. And it's mainly from the exits of corners that you need that ERS in these cars. But that Porsche, once it comes out of the corner, if you're in any other category of car, it just disappears from your view.
And also you've got from the same team of as Patrick Wolf, you got Fabrice Cornell. It's only running P number 9, and that's a driver we expect to see running a little bit higher as well. So is this it could be also a problem with PRT in particular, that they haven't figured out the setup yet?
Possible. It could possibly be that, or maybe that they're trying something out in this race and it's not quite working for them, so it could possibly be that as well. We just don't know what's happening there with them, but it could well be that they're just trying something out for a race and see how that pans out.
It could be. We'll only know for sure when tomorrow rolls around, and we'll see, one, what the qualifying times look like, and two, what the race pace looks like, especially when stops are included for that PRT team. Hopefully this is just a little bit of a blip though, and they can get back to fighting form for the 24-hour event. But this race as it stands right now, I'm just going to have a little bit of a look back to this GTE field. You've still got those 4 Williams esports cars right at the front of the field. Lauren Henreich, we've got Keiko Schube, Niels Koch, and Alexander Voss, all there, and all very, very dominant in those GTE machines at this moment in time. Sebastian Dunkel hasn't dropped off too far, though, from those 4 cars. I think in P number 5 now is Dunkel. We've got Melkler and Cedric, which are a considerable margin further back as well. And now, Paul, do you expect this race now basically to be a race between the 4 Williams esports cars and Dunkel?
Yeah, it certainly looks like that was the gap that they've pulled out there. Although Sebastian is just, as we were saying, is just slightly getting pulled away from there by those Williams cars. And we've got the prototypes making their way through, the LMP1 cars making their way through the traffic now. So this is where the fun starts, but the thing is, around this track compared to Watkins Glen, which we had last week, there's a lot more room to be able to make those moves, and longer straights as well, but you're still going to have a few places where there may be a little bit of danger zones, especially down into the slower corners where you'll have the differences in braking ability of the different category cars.
Exactly, as you see those LMP1 cars just file themselves through on those GTE machines. Your leaders have actually got through the vast bulk of them. It's just that Williams esports train that Juan Lopez has to be concerned about right now. Same with Carl Janssen once he gets past Jack Cedric heading into the Forza chicane. And through these chicanes is not where you want to be catching the traffic, but Janssen will be disposed of those two GTE machines in a rather quick fashion. But this does give the run though behind to Mathieu Prudhomme down into the Michelin chicane, the second of your Mulsanne chicanes. As Prudhomme, is he just going to stay in the slipstream? He's just going to stay in the slipstream. He's just going to save that fuel. So Prudhomme just taking the strategy option. Yeah,
and it's not a bad idea, to be honest. We've still got 38.5 minutes remaining in this one, so definitely a good portion of this race to go. The strategy will come into play. They will want to work that strategy as much as they can as well, but they don't want to lose out too much time in traffic, as Juan Lopez is now finding going into Mulsanne corner.
Yeah, exactly. He got held up a little bit by the many Williams esports GTEs that are going down through there, but Prudhomme and Janssen will have to weave their way in and out of those GTE machines to try and get themselves past. Prudhomme did manage to get himself past Janssen that time, but these guys have been swapping positions for the past couple of laps, and I don't think that's going to end soon, at least before the pit stops.
No, absolutely. They've been working together, basically like the front of a peloton in a cycle race. You know, just one taking turns for the car to be in the lead to help conserve the fuel, conserve the strategy calls so that they can all just basically come in at the same time, since they are all teammates. But it's allowed Sebastian Dunkel to catch back up to the back of that GT leaders pack.
Yeah, it has as well. It's not just the LMP1 cars that can get held up here. It's also the GT cars, the LMP2 cars as well, as the traffic goes through on them. And did Lauren Heinrich just hit a wall in the Porsche curves? He has. He's very, very slow. Has to let a huge amount of traffic by. What has happened here? It was going to be... Richard Arnault was coming through and putting a lap on him, and a little bit of miscommunication there, and just sends Lauren Heinrich into what is actually a safer barrier on the outside there. So a veteran from NASCAR making its appearance at the circuit to the south, but we'll get that view from above.
Yeah, we certainly will. And really it was a case of just getting into the wall, heavily into the wall there, and certainly not. He decided just, you know what, it's best to try and just park that car, and certainly not the ideal way to end his race there, but that's going to be his race over with.
4 Williams esports cars become 3 Williams esports cars as Lauren Heinrich gets himself into a wall with the help of one of the race clutch LMP1 machines. But that just kind of does shake up this GTE field a little bit. Of course, you've still got those 3 cars being very, very dominant at the front. As where is Sebastian Dunkel? That's more of a point. He is very, very far behind, so completely scratch what I have just said. Sebastian Dunkel has got himself into issues somewhere on the circuit as well, and that was up into the Dunlop chicane. He had a little bit of confusion there with Patrick Moser, and he himself goes for a spin up through towards Dunlop.
Yeah, so this is where you're starting to see that traffic coming into effect, and the communication is key around here. Sebastian Dunkel, as we mentioned, just dropping off that back because of that little bit of miscommunication there, and Yeah, it's so easy to, because around that first turn you are so on edge in terms of your grip levels there, and well, you just have to look back to Le Mans with Alan McNish, the huge spectacular crash he had there. So it just goes to show that you're on the edge, on the limit there, and a little bit of miscommunication. Before you know it, you're up and around.
Yeah, and that Alan McNish accident was perhaps one of the most scary incidents that you can have in motorsports, not just for the driver, but for the spectators, the marshals, the photographers as well. That was just a really scary moment, and thankfully everyone got away from it. As Will, you want to make a couple of comments?
Talking about Alan McNish, of course, he's had two of the scariest accidents I've ever seen in motor racing, because, as Paul remember, one of his at Toyota, he had one that stopped the Japanese Grand Prix qualifying for about 2 hours.
Yes, around 130R. That was a monster accident that he had there. He doesn't have small accidents, does he, Alan? That's for sure. But yeah, that was a scary incident. I still say that. Also, Anthony Davidson going down to flipping down into Mulsanne corner 1 year. That Le Mans, that was a scary incident. Actually, ended up giving him an injured back. So you don't have a small accident, is what we're saying here around Le Mans.
Well, yeah, and the thing about that one is, Connery, is over the years we've seen some tragedies. Of course, the Aston Martin car a couple of years ago is the first one that comes to my head. But one of the things as well is that, like we often say at the British Grand Prix, you've got to give credit. I always give credit to a couple of people, to every single one of the track marshals. And also we have the most famous race director probably in the world for the 24 Hours of Le Mans, who does the entire thing.
That is just an absolutely huge stint, as Paul will actually kind of attest to, since he does the live stewarding for things like the new endurance series, how much that can take out of you. So, and especially when you transfer that over to the real life side of things, that's going to get pretty demanding pretty quickly.
Eduardo, that was his name.
Yeah, as we tried to fill time to try and remember his name. But looking at the race as it stands, though, and we've still got Juani Lopez at the front, as he has been since the start, around about 2.4 seconds. So that gap is fluctuating up and down towards Carl Janssen and Matthew Prudhomme, but Janssen Prudhomme right now, they're just... part of me says that they're trying to work together in terms of the fuel strategy here to try and get the jump over Juani Lopez in the pit stops, which will be coming up to in the not too distant future. We saw in previous sessions that these cars will be coming down around about lap number 10. So we're very, very close to that pit window opening.
Yeah, we certainly are. You're going to see the LMP1 cars coming first, just to get their pit stops done first. Then it'll be the LMP2s, and then finally the GTEs. They seem to last a little bit longer on this fuel-limited series, so you are forced to make a pit stop. Saying that, the prototypes and both the LMP1 and LMP2s wouldn't make it an hour anyway without a pit stop. Those GTE cars, though, they do make it normally an hour without a pit stop, so that's why it's a little bit fuel-limited, just to make that strategy come into play here in this race.
Yeah, exactly. Things will be a little bit tighter in terms of the pit stop strategy because of the very, very long lap time. But we'll see the same overall trends that we've seen throughout this series. So LMP1s will be in first. If not this time, they'll be in next time by. And the LMP2s and the GTEs will follow. Speaking of GTEs, though, that's battle at the front is just going to stay the same as it is with those Williams eSports cars, but you got a battle sort of in the mid-pack area as well. Sort of from P number 6 down to P number 7, P number 8, P number 9. These cars are all relatively close together as well. We've got Mikko Melkler currently leading that particular train around the circuit, and well, it's a Ferrari against a Porsche here in this one. I don't think I'm just going to cycle through the field. I'm just trying to look for a wild GTE out there, a Ford GTE out there, and I'm not finding one.
No, there's no Ford GTs here today, unfortunately. People obviously favouring the Ferrari. It does have good top speed, does that Ferrari. But that Porsche, what a noise it makes, and I know myself and Will can attest to the hearing loss that we suffered at Spa-Francorchamps from that Porsche.
LMP1s are in. Sorry to cut you off there, Paul, but Juan Lopez has decided to bring it down towards lane. Same with Janssen, same with Bouton, Kruger, Kazubon, Arnaud, Bardin, Cornelis, Lehook. Everyone from the LMP1 class is in. I don't think anyone's going to risk taking the extra lap here, Will.
Yeah, and this all comes back to the first point Paul made on that warm-up lap, that you had to save fuel there. Otherwise, you're going to put yourself into a situation where you might even run out of fuel on the way on towards pit road. It's a good call there, Paul. But now the key thing is, those drivers that's been running by themselves this entire run will have to save a tiny little bit.
Yep, they certainly will. As the pit stops are now over. Juan Lopez, 17.7 seconds on the fuel, 18.4 for Carl Janssen, 18.7 for Mathieu Prudhomme. So a little bit of difference between your leader and second and third place, but of course second and third place were battling it out between the two of them, so maybe just use that little bit more fuel between the two of them. But that's a sight that you don't often see, every LMP1 car in the pits at the same time.
Yep, exactly. I can confirm that we did just see the entirety of the LMP1 field down on the pit lane together. So Juan Lopez actually got the I was going to say he got the shortest stop of everyone in your LMP1 field, but that is incorrect. Kim Eriksson goes for one even shorter, around about 15 seconds on the stop for him, which feels a little bit short for me. I don't know if he's going to make it to the end in a comfortable fashion, shall we say, Paul.
Again, it's all about driving style. If you are able to do that little bit of lifting and coasting into these corners, there's not many heavy braking zones around this track. If you can lift and coast into the two chicanes down the Mulsanne, into the Mulsanne corner itself, into Indianapolis, and into the Ford chicane, you can save yourself a good little bit of fuel there per lap. And if you're able to do it where you're able to lose as little time as possible, that can work out for you. It's more beneficial. It's more beneficial in the actual 24-hour race as your LMP2 leader comes onto pit road now, Patrick Schneider.
We might see the same situation we saw in LMP1. Actually, we're not. Jawad Karoni is actually going to stay out the one extra lap here. Patrick Schneider decides to head his way in. What does Carlo Labate do? He decides to head his way in. Not the same, for Maturana. So we're seeing some split strategies here in LMP2. Some drivers can go that one lap longer.
They certainly can, as Karoni now takes the lead in this one. But Patrick Schneider, he had a comfortable gap in front of Karoni in that one, so there's a little bit more strategy at play in your LMP2 field now. They're just over halfway, 27 minutes remaining in this one, but these guys, they're pushing hard. They're trying to make every kilogram of fuel count in this one, and Jawad Karoni heading down the Mulsanne straight, and Patrick Schneider's just come out the pit road.
Yeah, exactly. So slightly split strategy in your LMP1 and your LMP2 field, excuse me, as Jawad Karoni stays out. We also had Maturana stay out, Kiewit, Rambo, and Jason Stenny, Giardo, and that's pretty much it in terms of the cars that stayed out. So we only saw 4 LMP2 cars come down that last time out of the 11 that we do have out there on circuit. So drivers 50-50 on what to do.
Yeah, certainly, and Race Clutch decided to go one lap longer with Karoni, and he's staying out there. He's catching up to a little bit of traffic in your GTEs, and the thing is, with these prototypes, they're still faster than the GTEs, but it's more the mid-corner speed that these cars can carry through medium to high-speed corners over the GTE. So that's where these LMP2 cars have to get that little bit of advantage over those GTE cars to make it through them in the lapping traffic.
Yeah, and looks like we have had a change for position, at least for P number 6 in your LMP1 field, as Fabrice Cornelis drops back behind Patrick Bardin, and that was done coming through the Ford chicane as Arthur Lehook behind. Looked like he was going very, very slow through Dunlop there. I wonder if he got a slowdown penalty. He did push a little bit wide on the exit of the corner, and that's all it requires here for Le Mans to give you a slowdown penalty.
Yeah, and it's so easy to pick up that slowdown penalty at Dunlop as well. So we've seen it number of times in this race so far, and we're going to see it all the way through the 24 hours. There's slowdown penalties that can be cruel. Don't get one in the first 2 laps, because that is an absolute killer around here. It really does give you a heavy penalty for yourself if you do end up going wide or cutting across the course.
Yeah, exactly. We're looking on board with Dennis Grabowski at the moment as he tries to follow his teammate around the racing circuit. That's Patrick Moser ahead of him right now as they head their way down the Mulsanne. As you can just see how fast that these guys go, coming up to 320 kilometers an hour, 330 kilometers an hour, 335 in the slipstream before you get onto the brakes down into the Michelin chicane. And it's just those impressive speeds that Le Mans is just so famous for.
And with these LMP1 cars, it's the impressive acceleration that they have out the corners as well. That's certainly something as Caroni comes onto pit road now from your LMP2 lead. So those guys, it's always the acceleration that interests me with these LMP1 cars, that's for sure. But yeah, we'll have to see how these LMP2 field pans out now, with the second half of that field making their pit stops.
We'll actually go on board with Jared Caroni for the pit stop as we stay on board with him with the pit stop going on around him. Maturana also bringing himself down onto his lane. Same with Kiewit. I don't think anyone's going to go 2 extra laps here in this one unless they've done a huge amount of fuel saving. Just waiting for that fuel to go in. Caroni is off and away already. Where is Patrick Schneider? He's just coming down the pit lane right now, passes Joe Caroni in the pit lane. And where will Caroni file out in terms of this one? He's got a very large amount of clear air to work with, but that is a rather comfortable P number 2.
Yep, that's worked out for him, but Schneider, he came into that pit stop with about a 9-10 second lead. I'm just waiting for the timing screen to calm itself down and to get it all sorted out, and it's about 5 seconds ahead now, 4.5 seconds ahead of second place Caroni. And that pit stop, you look at that pit stop time, only 18.7 seconds compared to 23.7 for Patrick Schneider, so a really big disparity in that pit stop time, and that's where Caroni's been able to gain that time. He's been able to save fuel throughout this race, and he must be confident with his fuel saving ability to be able to short fuel and get it to the end.
Caroni actually doing the shortest pit stop time of everyone in the LMP2 field except for Guillardot, actually, and Guillardot is actually pretty close to the car off ahead of him. If I just cycle myself back to him, and actually we're actually going to go to P number 7, 8, and 9 for your GTE. These cars are very, very close together. And you've got Guez, Antiohola, you've got Melkula, and you've got Antiterro as well. So 4-car train for positions, in the mid-pack of your GTE field here, Paul.
Yep. Joel Guez, of course, leading that group, and all of these drivers will be thankful for Joel Guez for what he does for the iRacing community, helping them work out their strategies throughout the race, and going through the Porsche curves, 4 of them together. No traffic around them at the moment, so they're able to battle it out between themselves, but it is Ferrari, Porsche, Ferrari in this little battle pack for the time being. And doing a good job there as Guez comes onto pit road now, so your GTEs all starting to make their pit stops here.
Yeah, and Guez, the first to blinker in terms of your GTE field. You see Lauren Henrich is down on towards the lane, but that's because he had a little bit of an incident coming through the Porsche curves just a little bit earlier on. These are the first of the scheduled stops for your GTE field. 3 cars get themselves stopped in their box. 4 cars get themselves stopped in their box as Bastien Remis joins them as
now,
here.
This is interesting. Yeah, this is interesting because Guez is taking tyres because, of course, you can take tyres as well as fuel at the same time in your GTE class now. You didn't used to be able to. The other cars didn't take tyres.
Oh.
So Guez may have a little bit of a grip advantage in this one. He's come out behind 2 of the 3 cars that he was battling with, but it could end up panning out for him. 1.7 seconds is all that he lost in that pit stop.
Yeah, that could make all the difference. You just lose 1.7 seconds, yes. Lose 2 positions, yes. But the thing is, you have fresher tyres all the way till the end of this race now. And track temp being about 31 degrees, which isn't the hottest track temperature ever. But could still be significant in terms of, the fresher tyres that Joel Guez has in his machine. And don't get me wrong, these GTEs can easily do an hour on the tyres, but that slight advantage for Joel Guez is sometimes all the advantage that you need to get yourself towards the front of this train.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And just that little bit of extra tyre life, fresher tyres, could give him better exits out of corners, better braking into corners, and then the more grip through corners as well. So it's a win-win-win for him. Won't be much of an advantage, that's for sure, because they don't have that much of an effect. The new tyres in such a short period, with only 19 minutes remaining, but could end up making sure that he stays ahead of those 2 that he was battling with going into the pits. And in fact, here he comes down the outside on the exit of the first chicane, and well, is he maybe trying something out here, Connery, for tomorrow's race?
Could be. I expect the GTEs will take tyres on every stop in that race anyway, because they're a full hour-long stints or thereabouts, so why not take the tyres if they take it at the same time? The GT3s, though, will be a completely different issue because they take tyres at separate times, but that's only if we actually had GTEs in that race, as I believe we just have the LMP1s and the LMP2s and GTEs, but let's just imagine that the GT3s were involved and that would be the case. But Joel Guez now. Ashley, we're going to go towards the GTE race lead. These are 2 teammates, Alexander Voss versus Niels Koch. They've actually dropped Kei Gashube off of the back of them somewhat, so these guys, I think the team orders are not in effect. I think they're just going to decide to fight it out in the final few laps here.
Yeah, that's it now. The gloves are off here. They're going to be trying it on here. They want a little bit of one-upmanship. Maybe there's the race start at play here. Maybe if whoever wins this one gets to start the car, you never know. But we expect these guys to be onto pit road this time by. We saw some of the other GTEs come onto pit road earlier, and there we go, off to the right into the pit lane. So they're going to make their one and only stop of this race, cutting across the curb and the grass onto that pit limiter, and you try and cut as much of that pit entry as possible that's within the regulations.
Yep, you really do. And Niels Koch also slammed on the anchors to try and get down towards the pit lane speed limit, and thankfully he got down to it before the iRacing system would decide to penalize you for that particular action, as they all get themselves stopped in their box. Sebastian Dunkel also in, same with Jack Cedric, Jürgen Frank, Antio Holer as well, so pretty much the entirety of the rest of the GTE field in. Alexander Voss will get himself off and away first, then Niels Koch, then you've got Kei Gashube, which is the order we kind of expected, and then we'll see Sebastian Dunkel and Jürgen Frank get themselves off of the lane in the not too distant future. So clean set of stops here for the GTEs. Jack Cedric gets himself off and away. Jürgen Frank will get himself off and away as well. And this is just a just a fairly comfortable set of stops. No position chopping and changing at all.
Niels Koch, the 2 seconds slower pit stop for him there. So had he led more of that group of cars compared to Alexander Voss, or maybe Voss is better at fuel saving. That's a nice inter-team battle that will be going on there throughout the rest of this race. But a nice gap now for Voss, 3.3 seconds over his teammate in second place.
No problems at all. Meanwhile, the battle for P2 is, instead of being a pair of battling cars, it's now become a trio of battling cars, as Florian Kruger, as a result of those stops, has managed to drag himself back into contention for spots on the podium here, as they'll get themselves up behind Raccoroni, a representative of the LMP2 field. We'll actually go on board with the number 32 car. So this is Matthew Prudhomme, and he is currently in P3, trying to get by that traffic off of Tetra Rouge. Easily done, as you'll see him side through these GTE cars now.
Yeah, but look at how much time he lost there. A couple of tenths, maybe 3 tenths that he lost, being stuck behind that race clutch LMP2 car. So Carl Jansen able to just break away a little bit in this traffic, and he's going to get caught up behind GTE traffic again here through the first Mulsanne chicane. Onto the power again. Didn't cost him too much time, perhaps. Well, he's 1.2 seconds behind Carl Jansen now compared to the half a second he was at the start of the lap.
Yeah, and that's just sometimes what the traffic can do to your race, especially if you're in one of these LMP1 prototypes. Florian Kruger going to just stay behind just for now. Just content to just bide his time as there's a car off ahead that goes spinning into the gravel. Just going to have to cycle back to see who this one was. It's Mikko Melkala, driver of the number 17. Has himself a little bit of a spin coming down into the Michelin chicane. No help from anyone else. Just oversteer on entry and sends him into the gravel.
Yeah, carrying a little bit too much speed, I think that was from Melkala. And losing out the time and positions in that one. But so we had a look at the replay as well, but yeah, it's so easy to make a mistake like that, and if you make a mistake like that in a 1 hour race, yeah, it's a sprint race, you've got the pressure on, you need to really concentrate in the final parts. But if you're going to be racing tomorrow, you need to be concentrating for the full 24 hours, or at least the stints that you're going to be in. Matthew Prudhomme, by the way, nearly went into the back of a GTE car at Indianapolis as we get another look at Melkala going around.
Yeah, and Prudhomme was held up massively, quite rightfully say there, Paul, by Jürgen Frank. It's actually coming on the kink up and towards Indianapolis. It was just so close between them. That could have been a massive, massive incident, but they managed to get away with it by the skin of their teeth. And, well, it would just be yet another example of a massive incident at Le Mans. Yeah,
absolutely. And this is where quite a few drivers need to have races like this to get that experience of multi-class racing, because you've got to be able to communicate with the drivers around you, and you've got to be able to do the job and be able to keep it clean as well, because one, you don't want to wreck somebody else's race, but two, most importantly, you don't want to end up wrecking your own race, because we've got quite the battle for 6th and 7th in your LMP2 class.
Yep, we have. That one is slightly further back. You've got the likes of Guiardo. You've got Vaitek Kunis as well involved in that particular battle. But that's just the thing, Paul. Sometimes when we get in towards that 24 hours Le Mans starting tomorrow, if you have an incident like that, it's not just you that's going to suffer. It is your whole team and just the whole sort of community around you just feels pain every single time you spin the car like that, and it's quite tough on the good couple of drivers to know that you have the pressure of not just yourself but everyone else on your shoulders as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is, you know, a lot of people will say that team racing in motorsport is the most difficult in terms of one, setting up the car, because you've got to compromise. You compromise the setup for everybody, so you're not going to be in your ideal car, an ideal setup that you would want for that car. But two, you've got the pressure of your teammates not being able to finish the race if you end up stuffing it into a wall or into another one of your competitors. So it's a lot to take on there, and it's a lot of hard work that gets put into this race. And that's why you only see the absolute best teams, and I will say teams, do well in the 24-hour events.
Yeah, exactly. I've done a few of these in my time, and it's never easy when you make a mistake or one of your teammates makes a mistake that puts your race on the back foot. But sometimes those things do happen in racing, and you just have to get on with it. But we'll definitely talk more about that when tomorrow when we get the big event started. But this as the preview to that event. We've got about 11 minutes left, just dropping under 11 minutes. It's still Wani Lopez leading the way by 5.9 seconds at the front of the LMP1 field over Carl Jansen. And then it's a three-way battle between Prudhomme, Kruger and Kazubon for the final step on the podium. And then further back in your LMP2 field, it's going to be Patrick Schneider leading the way from Joao Coroni. Then you've got Sergei Maturana, all spread out by quite a margin. So That one probably isn't going to be a thing at the end of this race in terms of the battles there. And then you've got your GTE field. It's still 1, 2, 3 for Williams Esports at this late stage. Alexandra Voss from Niels Koch from Kei Gashube. Those latter two very, very close out there on circuit right now.
Yeah, and that P3, P4 battle in your LMP1 category getting a bit heated now. It was at Porsche curves they were getting pretty close. I tell you what, they're giving it a good go here. They're giving us a show in this one. Heading towards the Ford chicane once again. Out onto the brakes. Through that Ford chicane. A little bit faster through the first part of that chicane. Then it tightens up for the second part of the chicane. Onto the main straight once again. Past the pit building. Past the iconic clock there. And certainly if you've got quite a bit of money you might want to buy one of the watches, but certainly I don't have that ability. But still, these drivers, they're not caring about that. They're caring about this battle here on track, and third place is up for offer. 3 drivers have got the ability to do it. Only one of them will get it in the end though.
Can I tell you a quick story? This comes from the other big 24-hour race, the Rolex 24 Hours at Daytona. Now, at Daytona, the drivers who win, they get a Daytona that is not available in stores. And one of the drivers didn't have the largest of wrists, and he asked one of my friends, who I know, to go to a Rolex store to basically get a link removed, because you don't want to avoid the warranty or anything. Goes to the Rolex store, and it's like, I'm sorry, this isn't a real Rolex. And it's like, no, yes it is. No, it's not. I've never seen this before. It's like, it is. I've got a picture, if you like, of me with the president of your company giving it to me. So can you just do your job, please?
Yeah, and if you can't afford a Rolex watch, then of course one of the other corners here on this circuit is sponsored by Dunlop. So buy a Dunlop tyre.
Yes. Made in Birmingham for many years.
Yeah, exactly. It's just slightly more affordable than a Rolex watch, and perhaps would last a lot longer on in terms of. I'm just not going to. I've messed up my.
It won't hold its value, that's for sure.
Can I also ask one more thing? Because of the fact that we've lost Racebot Corner at Spa, because it becomes the Jackie X Corner about now, shall we rename on the 24-hour broadcast tomorrow the first chicane at Le Mans Racebot Corner, or the Racebot chicane?
Racebot chicane, I think, sounds a better ring to it.
Yeah.
But it's already called Forza.
No, it isn't.
What is one of those? This is a sim racing 24-hour event, so let's call it the Racebot chicane.
If you insist. As the CEO, co-CEO of the company, Will, you do have the power to do that. So I'm not going to complain, but. Wow, in terms of this race, and maybe I'll get to mention Racespot chicane at the end of this race if we participate down into there, but right now, the battle between Prudhomme, Kazubon, Kruger, that one still continues for the final step of the podium, but Prudhomme has managed to get himself a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a buffer zone to work with the two cars behind as we're getting into the very late stages right now. We're going to have 2 laps to go as once Juani Lopez gets himself across the line. Only 2 laps to get these battles sorted. Oh, Paul.
Yeah, the LMP2 battle as well. Still ongoing for 6th place in that one. And it all got a little bit close at that second chicane down the Mulsanne. And not a lot of people know this, unless in fact they've listened to the last few Le Mans broadcasts with ourselves, is that the Mulsanne Straight is the same length as the entire Sebring International Raceway.
Yep.
Fun fact there, and the fact that I actually didn't hear last time that you mentioned it, so that is a very good thing to know indeed.
Don't worry, I'll mention it tomorrow as well, so don't worry about that.
Sure you will, but just brings things into perspective here with how long this race circuit is, of course.
Big instant in that battle for 6th place down at Indianapolis, and it was Gallardo getting into the side of that car, in fact just locking up, and the other car, Vitakunas, ended up missing his braking completely. That's brought Rambler into this battle here. So big instant there between the two of them for 6 and 7. That's brought another driver into this one.
You know,
Yeah,
the cool thing is, I'm sorry, Connor, I just want to jump in. That's the thing about this racetrack, Connor, is that you don't have to hit another driver to cause an incident. You go down into Indianapolis, you try and make a pass and you fail it. Yeah, you don't make the pass, but you end up potentially still causing the other driver to have an incident of their own.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the car going deep on the brakes there down in towards Indianapolis. The car of Giardo didn't actually make contact with Vaticunas there. Just locked himself up all on his own, and Vaticunas, scared of the move being made around the outside, actually outbraked himself as well. So both of them managed to push themselves wide, and the big benefactor of all that was Rambro, because he got the pass complete over Giardo.
And I'll tell you now, Vaticunas, sportsmanship shown in this race, waited until the pit straight and let Giardo back past. So hats off to Vaticunas. He didn't have to do that, but he did do it. So great sportsmanship. But that has brought 9th place into this battle now as well. So those guys are going to be duking it out for the last 2 laps.
Yes, they are, as Juan Lopez is coming to coming towards the latter third of the lap, shall we say. So a lap and a third to go for him before he heads his way across the line to take the checkered flag, or hopefully, as long as things stay relatively comfortable for him on this final lap. But positions further down, though, those aren't settled at all. Carly Jansen, Matthew Prudhomme still going on. Kazubon and Kruger, those are very close as well, and same with this battle in LMP2 as well. For Rambro, you've got Giardo, you've got Vaticunas as well, deciding to fight things out at the final stages of this race. And in terms of the battles in the GTE fields, those have kind of spread out. Niels Koch and Keita Shube are kind of close, but not close enough to be battling at this stage. So we've got a couple of battles to look at here in the final stages, Paul.
Yeah, couple of prototype battles going on then in this one. Carl Jansen, by the way, has been a little bit slower on that last lap, and Prudhomme has gained a little bit on him. So it's going to be a 4-car battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th in your overall standings. Of course, that's traffic that will be affecting that one, but certainly we've seen some great battling going on in this race. You could tell it's a sprint race, that's for sure. 1.7 seconds faster was Jansen over Prudhomme. So that's really Prudhomme over Jansen, should I say. So traffic does come into effect around here, even with the long straights that they have the opportunity to stretch their legs on. But really there's no traffic now, so they should be able to just fight it out for the end of this race.
Yep, exactly. Looking at the track map, it's completely clear road ahead for your LMP1 field, so they have all the time in the world to try and fight this without any disturbances from the lap traffic. Same cannot be said, though, for your LMP2 field, as they deal with a little bit of the GT traffic, as Giardo and Rambro, they'll go side by side on the run out of Arnage. They got into a little bit of a tussle with the GT traffic, but side by side they will go up towards the start of the Porsche curves. This highly downforce dependent section, the advantage switches one way and then the other, but Rambro has overcooked it. Off into the gravel he goes, and Vaticunas will get himself by as well as Giardo, as that's so close behind. Rambro almost going into the barriers, but the battle still continues, though, between Giardo and Vaticunas here as they come to complete their penultimate lap.
That was unbelievable how close that was then to being. It would have been a plane crash. Prudhomme and Carl Jansen battling it out for 2nd place in your race now, and there's almost contact between the two LMP2 cars as they go down towards Indianapolis. LMP1 cars, should I say. I'm getting excited between the two battles going on. So yeah, great action heading towards we're into the final minute of the race now.
Yeah, exactly. Next time by across the line will be at the end of the race. So the move needs to be made from Prudhomme down in towards Indianapolis. It is not, as they did weave a little bit on the brakes coming down to, coming down towards the Indianapolis as towards our Nage now. This is the final lap of the race. So this is going to be Juani Lopez leading the race at the moment, 8.5 seconds ahead last time by. The battle is going to be for P number 2 in the LMP1 class, though. Battle for P number 4 as well in the LMP1 class. So this is absolutely brilliant stuff to watch through the Porsche curves. There you go, Prudhomme locking right onto the back of Carl E. Janssen, as Janssen will just hold on just for now, as we're going to go towards our race leader, Juani Lopez, through the Ford chicane, and he will end up taking the race win for round number 10 of the Le Mans series here on iRacing, on the iRacing Esports Network. But Carl E. Janssen will just hold on towards the Ford chicanes through the slower section as well, gets that power down, manages to take P number 2 when all is said and done. And now we cycle ourselves back, though, to that LMP2 battle that has actually spread itself out between Guiardo and Vitakunas. Rambro is still there involved, potentially, once he gets disposed of this little bit of traffic ahead of him. That's Joel Guez currently sitting ahead of him. But right now, Rambro is just going to have a mountain to climb with the gap the way it is right now, all the way up to Guiardo. But right now, it's going to be all eyes on Alexandra Voss. He's heading his way through Indianapolis right now. He has a comfortable gap over his teammate in P number 2 in the GTE field. And Kei Kashube is actually not too far behind Niels Koshier. So that could potentially be a battle between the two teammates as well at the final stages as they head their way through Arnage. We'll head ourselves towards Patrick Schneider, though, for LMP2. He'll head his way across the line to take the race win in the LMP2 class. And now the remainder of the GTE field. Alexandra Voss heading his way through the Porsche curves now. Niels Koch and Kei Kashube, they are pretty close as well. The prototype might actually get himself involved in this one. That's Christian Kuet behind as they try to negotiate these very high-speed apexes, the downforce-dependent section that the prototype is so good at. Will get disposed of one and will get disposed of the other as well. Niels Koch will remain ahead at this stage, and I think that's going to be to the line as well. So Niels Koch going to be leading on the brakes down in towards the chicane. That battle between Vatikunas and Guiardo has all but spread out. Rembrandt is not there at all either. Niels Koch and Kei Kashube very close out of the Ford chicane, but they'll take P number 2 and 3 in your GTE class.
Yeah, great drive from there, and Alexander Voss able to go across as your winner of your GTE field in this one. It was some fantastic racing throughout the field here today, and still, you know, they're trying.
Guiardo's out of fuel. Guiardo is out of fuel as he tries to struggle his way across the line. He does make the line, but he does lose the position to Rambo. So Guiardo, miscalculation on the fuel numbers. He ran out of fuel. I'm just trying to cycle things back to see where exactly he ran out of fuel.
So he had an 18.3 second pit stop. That was one of the fastest of all. He actually hit a GTE car coming into the Ford chicane, but his pit stop was at least 7 tenths to a second faster than anyone else. But he tried to underfuel that one, Connery, and he paid the price.
Yeah, exactly, and Rambro actually gets the pass done sort of on the final apex of the entire race. So cutting it close was Guiardo, but he cut it a little bit too close there, especially with the incident with the GT car as well. So we thought some drivers might struggle to get themselves towards the end of the race on the fuel, as we'll also see the Williams Esports cars just get together for a little bit of a photo op down the Mulsanne Straight. But here are your official race results. Juani Lopez will take the overall race win in LMP1 by 9.4 seconds over Carl E. Janssen. Mathieu Prudhomme will take himself the final step on the podium. Those drivers finished exactly where they qualified, P1, 2, and 3 for those respectively. You've got Kazu Bon finishing P number 4 after starting 5th, and Kruger finishing P number 5 after starting 6th. Same with Barden, he gains 1 position as well from 7th into 6th there. Fabrice Cornès gaining himself a good couple of positions as well, up into P number 7 from 11th on the starting grid. Arthur Lehook, P number 8, Ark Elkerman, P number 9, Richard Arnault will bring things down to P number 10, and you've got the likes of Gert Broski, you've got Patrick Wolf, you've got Patrick Moser, you've got Rebecca Pauline and Kim Eriksson rounding out your LMP1 field. Then in terms of LMP2, Patrick Schneider takes the comfortable race win in that particular class, followed by Gerard Coroni and Sergei Maturana rounding out your podium positions. P number 4 will go to Carlo Labate, P number 5, Christian Kiewit, then you've got Vati Kunis, Mojak, you've got Julian Rambreau, and you've got Loic Guillardot running out of fuel at the end of this event. Your non-finishers in that field are Jason Stenny and Ville Rula. Then GTE was a Williams Esports affair. They get themselves their P number 1, 2, and 3. Alexander Voss, Niels Koch, Keika Shube getting the podium positions for Williams Esports. Sebastian Dunkel, P number 4. P number 5 will go to Jack Cedric. P number 6, Jürgen Frank. 7th, Joel Guez. 8th will go to Antti Olola. 9th will go to Antti Tero, and Yannick Lapshin will round out your top 10 in GTE. Then further back, you got the likes of Barry Morrison, you got Mikko Melkula, you got Jan Senkowski, Bastian Remis, and Lauren Heinrich will be your only non-finisher from your GTE field after his instant through the Porsche curves. Well, as we calm down from that race, we'll just go to a short commercial break, but don't go away. We'll be back for the post-race show here on RaceSpot TV and the iRacing Esports Network. Don't go away.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
Last year I was sitting at a desk as a sales manager, and now I'm official McLaren F1 simulated test driver.
So it's 1.4 behind.
This opportunity is huge.
That's faster than the factory McLaren driver, and he's done 6 laps.
Let's go race.
what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers.
Oh, there we go! This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Frankie! Down to the inside of Hoosie's off!
Messenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up. I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
What a prelude in advance of the 24 hours of Le Mans tomorrow here on the iRacing Esports Network. 18 hours of coverage brought to you by RaceSpot TV. But before we do that, Connery, let's talk to Richard Arnaud.
Yeah, I have Richard Arnaud, representative of the Race Clutch team here in the commentary booth. And Richard, it wasn't the best of races for you out there today. You did have a little bit of an incident, a little bit of a tussle early on that put you on the back foot. But just take us through it.
Yeah, that race was a little bit of a mess considering the starting position on P4. Yeah, there is an unfortunate contact with Laurin. I think more or less a misunderstanding because when we arrived with the P1, we arrived something like 100 kph faster than the GTE, and then he closed the door when I was engaged on this part of the track. So for something like 1 or 2 centimeters, that put him into the wall. But yeah, that's unfortunate, to be honest. After that, I was going into the pit and iRacing changed me tires, but 3 of them instead of 4, and I don't want to change tires because that was not the strategy. So sometime lost here as well. And then after that, I was catching the PRT train. I overtake one of them, and then the second one, Denis Grabowski, he just missing the last chicane, and when he came back into the track, he crashed my rear, and I have some damage, so losing 10 kph per straight. So that was the end of it, and P10 was the only thing to have today.
Yeah, it definitely was a struggle for you out there today with those incidents happening. But looking into tomorrow now with your team as well, the Race Clutch team, how confident are you feeling for the 24-hour event?
Well, to be honest, everything can happen during those 24 hours. The pace seems good, so we will see tomorrow where we start first. I will take the starts of the race also, and then after those 2 or 3 stints, we will have a better idea of the general pace of the race, and then it will be a strategy race during the 24 hours.
And of course, it's the first time that we've had these LMP1 cars in a 24-hour endurance race, and a lot of the teams, well, all of the teams, in fact, in this race actually went for the Porsche. Do you think the Audi will make more of an appearance in the 24-hour event, given that it's better on the fuel?
To be honest, at the moment the Audi is quite broken due to the hybrid system, but iRacing will fix that for the next season. So for the 24 hours, I guess most of the teams will go for the Porsche. I think in the Split 1 that will be an only Porsche field in the LMP1, and yeah, we'll see for the next 24 hours how it goes with the Audi.
Well, we'll see. Best of luck for the race tomorrow. And is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, thanks to all the teammates for the work already to prepare the race, to NSH Racing, which is one of our sponsors that you will see at the Sim Expo, and also to Dark Effect for the paint scheme, and Luca D'Amelio for the amazing screenshot he gave to us. And thank you to you for the broadcast as well.
Thank you for being out there and racing as well. And that was Richard Arnault finishing P number 10 in your LMP1 field, qualified P number 4. So a little bit of a struggle out there today, but looking for more when it comes to tomorrow there, Paul.
Yeah, certainly will be. He's got a good opportunity in the race, but it is a long old race, as the 24 hours, as the name implies. But you know, you've got to have an element of luck, but also a really solid strategy and a good, well-balanced team as well, because there's no point having a really fast driver if you ain't got some drivers who are not up to his pace. So a really well-balanced team, good strategy, and being able to change strategy on the fly as well is really good and really necessary for the 24 hours.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, that means we're pretty much done here for RaceSpot TV Friday Primetime Le Mans Series from the Circuit de la Sarthe on the iRacing Esports Network as well. And tomorrow, it is the big event, perhaps one of, if not the biggest event in terms of road racing on iRacing. It is the iRacing 24 Hours of Le Mans. And for the first stint of that, join Will Vincent, Jake Sperry, and Alvin Nieves for hours 1 to 6. Then from 18 to 20, then from 6 to 12, you got Jake Sperry, Randy Cheneth, and Lorenzo Bonder as well. We've got our very own Paul Smith producing that one as well, and I'll be involved in the final 6 hours of that broadcast. But it's not long now; it's less than 24 hours now before we get that 24-hour race going. We'll see you then.